Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. My name's Rohan. I'm a second year medical student studying here at Cambridge University. Today I thought I'd just do a quick video going over some of the implications of this year's interviews being remote due to the pandemic. There's a really helpful page on the Cambridge website about this, which I'll link down in the description below. And they tell you what software you need and what other materials you'll need for the interview. This video just goes over my thoughts on the matter. These are stuff which I've picked up having all my education online for the majority of this year, as well as conducting interviews myself through Zoom. And I'm sorry that all the points are a bit haphazard, but I've kind of been pushed for time recently, but I really want to get this video out soon. So yeah, let's get started. So one thing we should note as a caveat to all the things I'm about to say is there's no difference in preparation regarding to the content of the interview. The same skills are still going to be assessed. If you want any further guidance on how we can prepare for the content of the interview, please go watch my previous videos where I've addressed this issue. Anyway, kind of looking at the technical stuff, and this will range from really obvious stuff to less obvious stuff. So firstly, you want to make sure that you have a stable internet connection. This goes without saying because if it's unstable, then I guess it can be a source of stress on the day. On the Cambridge website, they recommend closing down all other applications which might be using the internet. Try pick a location which is as close to your internet router as possible. And you might also tell other people in your house, if that's where you're going to do the interview, to get off the internet just for the duration of your interview so you can get the best possible connection. Next, try pick a place which is also well lit. With lighting, the light should be shining on you rather than from behind you. You should also try and make your background either neutral or kind of professional. So like with a bookcase, for example. Try not to have any posters with celebrities or any rude words because that doesn't leave the greatest impression, and particularly, at least if you're doing a medicine interview, they're also looking at whether you have the professional attributes to be a doctor. So yeah, that's not a great thing to do. Another thing is kind of have an agreement about what everyone else is going to be doing in the house at that time. So you might want to talk with your parents in between interviews as a source of encouragement, or your siblings, or you might rather them not talk to you and you just kind of stay in your little bubble on your zone, not to get too stressed about other people. That's something you'll kind of want to arrange ahead of time. And you also want to talk to them about minimizing background noise, so yeah, just ask them to be quiet, closing windows, turning off fans as quiet as possible so the interviewers can hear you. Then the next thing you should probably do is you should definitely test the software beforehand. So if it is on Zoom, make sure that you have it downloaded on your laptop. Particularly, I want you to pay attention to your microphone settings and make sure they're really optimized, because there's nothing really worse than conducting an interview but you can barely actually hear the person you're interviewing. Yeah, that can just disrupt the flow of the interview. You can actually go into Zoom to modulate these settings, and you can just kind of whack up the audio input so they can hear you as best as possible. But you might also need to adjust your microphone settings centrally on your computer. And if you're not sure how to do this, a quick Google search will tell you how to do this on any platform that you're using. Next is a slightly subtle point again, is try keep your webcam at eye level, because often, especially if you're quite tall, your laptop webcam might actually be a lot lower than your eye level, and then you'd have to point the webcam a bit up. So I use a laptop stand, which you might see in the background of this shot. Yeah, that just really helps keeping everything, and it's actually a really big part of my studying setup, which we might do a video about one day, but I'll leave a description down below. This is a really good value laptop stand. Another thing you might need to account for is the potential lag between their internet and your internet. Be sure just to talk a little bit slower than you might usually would in person. Ask them to repeat any questions if you haven't heard, and just confirm that you understand what they're saying. Please don't fall into the trap. This is something which I do a lot, which is not good. When you're on a Zoom call, you tend to just look at your screen a lot rather than the person you're talking to. I think I know because your brain kind of sees you moving in real time, so it naturally focuses on that because it's linking up different sensory, like proprioception and whatnot. I don't know. One thing you can do is to pin their video so they kind of appear a lot bigger than you. Another thing which you can actually do in Zoom is you can hide self-view. So if you're happy about the way you look, like your shot, and if you don't need to show any paper to the examiner, you can hide yourself so you're just focusing on them. I really like doing this on group calls, so I'm just not looking at myself. When you're talking, try look into the camera, and when you're listening, make sure you're looking at their video, and just kind of mixing these two approaches will hopefully help the flow of the conversation, and you'd be able to pick up more non-verbal cues, which I guess makes it closer to an in-person interview as possible. Another thing which I probably should have mentioned when talking about audio, something that we call a facilitative response. So usually when we acknowledge what someone's saying, we're going like, uh-huh, or like, yeah, or often we make like sound cues, but I would avoid doing that if it's a virtual interview, because the problem with that is sometimes it can cut out what they're saying, so you won't be able to hear what they're saying, and it might sound very loud to them if you're close to the microphone. I think just kind of respectfully nod, and maybe at the end of their sentence, at the end of like their spiel, say, okay, that should hopefully avoid some audio woes which you might have with facilitative responses. And finally, make sure that you have a pen and paper close to hand, just so you can jot down any information the interviewers are telling you, but also in case you want to draw a quick diagram and then quickly show them, that's an option that you have if you have pen and paper. Just be aware that some subjects, particularly like the maths and potentially some of the sciences, might want you to have a tablet and stylus so they can do like interactive whiteboard stuff and they can see you're working out in real time. So I know not everyone will have this, and if you don't have this technology, it's best that you contact the college and explain your situation. And I really don't want you to be worried about this. They will be really understanding. It's pretty much against the law for them to discriminate based on how much tech someone has and what background they're from. It's against their interests as well, because they're losing out on potential talent. If this is a problem for you, I think they said on their website they'll either find a way to get you like the hardware, so the tablet and the stylus for the interview, or they'll accept alternative things like using an interactive whiteboard on a computer which you can draw with a mouse, or just go back to traditional pen and paper. So that brings us to the end of the video. Sorry it was a bit haphazard, but all the useful information should be in there somewhere, and yeah, as I've said before, I've been quite busy recently. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please give this video a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more videos in this Applying to Medical School series. So take care, I hope the interviews go well, and bye for now.